Welcome to the Uncaged podcast. I'm Andy. I'll be your host as we talk about all things mindset, motivation, and becoming the version of yourself that you truly desire to become. Now, this is episode 7. We're going to dive deep into some concepts. Today, we're going to talk about how quitting during training workouts reflects into your life in multiple aspects, and I'm going to talk about it from my own experience and in my own words. I'll start by speaking about the intricate details on how quitting has an effect on your mind and your habits, how it reinforces the mindset of quitting when you feel uncomfortable. As I've said before, working out is the perfect training ground for exercising the habits and the mindsets it takes so that moments in your life where there's struggle, obstacle, or challenge don't throw you off. Overcoming the urge to quit creates independence and a control over your reactions. And learning to recognize when that voice in you to quit comes up and also why it's there in the first place. Each time we are presented with a situation where there is discomfort, challenge, or an obstacle, we make a choice. And usually it's one of two choices. Number 1, cave to the feeling and allow it to lead to avoidance of the experience. Number 2, rise up to the challenge and give it your best. Now, number 1, caving to the feeling and allowing it to lead to avoidance of the experience is still highly valid. An example of this where it holds true and useful: imagine you're hiking and you see 2 large bears ahead and they're fighting aggressively. Ideally, you're not going to continue forward and see just how well your boxing class has been paying off. You're going to avoid that situation completely. And the same applies to a training injury during a workout. Let's say you have a heavy weight loaded on a barbell deadlift and you were pumped, amped, and ready to smash your session. However, on your previous set, you felt a twinge and a pop to the right side of your lower back. Now it's hurting and it has a sharp pain feeling when you move. Now, avoiding that next set of deadlifts would be a very intuitive response. Yes, these are common sense, however, they hold true. Now, when it comes to point number 2, to rise to the challenge and to give it your best, the situation you may be facing will be a little bit different to the bears fighting or the training injury. In this situation, there presents a path where willpower can be used to overcome the resistance that you face. Now, I'll give you an example of stepping up to the challenge when it comes to training. Imagine that you have the desire to no longer quit on yourself so that you can achieve that higher level of standard that you know you are capable of. All so that you can better your mind, body, and life from the lessons of achieving it. This one's my favorite. Let's say you have a previous push-up record for yourself. Let's just say it's 30 reps. You know when you set that previous push-up record for yourself that you quit early due to the discomfort. And you also know that if you keep that same mindset, that your results are going to be similar to the last time you did it. So you go into this push-up set with the mindset that when that discomfort kicks in, you're going to blast beyond all your previous records and give it everything you have, repeating in your mind that you will not stop until you cannot do another rep of push-ups. This new mindset and standard led to you absolutely obliterating your previous record attempt and doubling it to 60, all because you no longer thought and acted the same as before. Now, I've seen this plenty of times before with clients, and I'm always waiting for the people that finally see that all it takes is a new mindset and a new perspective to the challenge that's in front of them. So in general, breaking your comfort zone is absolutely key in these situations. Things like this reverberate into your life and into your actions. Using exercise as your training ground to assist to the changes to your daily activities. Because now you've had practice. You'll be able to use your training as your skill set so that when you face an obstacle or challenge in your life, you'll know exactly what to tap into and how to switch it on. Not only does it apply to physical efforts, but also mental efforts and the push it takes to overcome challenge. So ask yourself, where in your training do you feel you quit early and leave further achievement on the table? Because remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything, and it reverberates into your life. As the mindset of quitting leads to avoiding, this can also be in relationships and the hard conversations that you might need to speak on. Or it could be the job around the house that you quit on, or even the cleaning that you avoid and quit on. Even as deep as the highest level of procrastination, all because in your mind, you saw the task as something that was just too hard. And this is why it's important to exercise these mindsets and habits. Now, I first learned all of this during my competitive bodybuilding days, where I knew going into every training session that it was going to be extremely hard, and it demanded of me to hold the mindset to overcome discomfort and the challenge that was in front of me each session. Holding the understanding that for me to attain the results that I wanted and my goal, I had to push with the mindset to overcome all of the challenges that were in front of me. I knew if I didn't do that, I can expect mediocre results, and that also will reverberate into my life as well, in my achievements, in my overall mindset of how I carry myself every day, and I just was not keen on that. And this is why, like in previous episodes, I've spoken heavily about goals and how important they are, as they're your guidepost. Now, without this, yes, you can be intense, but you may lack consideration of a couple of things. You might not push yourself purely because you don't even know where you're going. If you have a desire to achieve a particular goal that's important to you, setting that goal when it comes to these physical tasks or mental pushes, doesn't matter what it is, that is what helps you set these mini goals along the way. That allows you to set a target, set a challenge, and push yourself as hard as you possibly can to achieve it. And remember, every time that you quit, you reinforce the habit into you to quit, which is why it goes into your life. Whatever the goal is that you set, it will always demand a higher standard of you, which will demand you to push. Like I said, whether that be physically or mentally, they both apply in the same manner. You're going to have to break previous boundaries, comfort zones, and absolutely challenge yourself. So consider along the way, when you're going into these challenges, obstacles, or areas of discomfort, that you choose to reinforce the habit of not quitting. Give it a shot, because I know for a fact now, as I have personally lived this transformation, to no longer quit, and you'll see just how fast, how effective you become because you no longer quit. Take a look at your daily routine and your day-to-day activities and learn to recognize where in your day that you avoid and procrastinate on certain things. Use this information to help propel you to make these changes in these areas so that you can achieve that higher level standard. And remember, it can be from the most mundane things all the way up to the highest, greatest dreams for your life. Trust me in knowing when I say this, I know it works. Because when you learn to make this switch, you're going to see for yourself that you've always had the potential to achieve such a higher level than what you put out. And it's only a matter of time for you to recognize this potential. And when you do, I already know you're just going to be soaring up. But first you have to learn to recognize where you avoid. Once you do that, game on. Learn to switch it on. Remember, exercise is your training ground. Challenge is an opportunity for you to grow, change, and become that version of yourself that you want to become. So consider all of this information here today, because if you can learn this, life changes quick. Your potential becomes free because you no longer will quit. And that's the key. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next episode.